Good morning. Day 4, leaving the Nipissing River today, making our way to Burnt Root, and I feel like having pancakes. Final product. Throw some syrup on that. We got some pepper bacon underneath. Some ghee on pancakes. Perfect way to start the morning. Alright, it's 10:45. Really late start this morning. But we're all packed up. We had our pancake breakfast. We're just using the facilities and we're off. We're off through, I think we have a 1300 into Ramona, and then a couple bumps into Whiskey Jack Robinson, then Burnt Root. And I'm really excited. We're gonna be done the Nipissing today. No more river travel for the next 2.5 days until we get to the Tim. And we're gonna start seeing some big lakes and some sunsets.
We are just walking back to the boats at the end of the High Falls. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, rapid, but there's High Falls. It's the coolest falls I've seen in the park. If you're coming down the Nipissing with the current and you're doing that High Falls trail, there is a canoe rest. I would recommend that you take a little rest there because the next part of the trail is very, very narrow with a huge drop off on your right hand side. So if you're getting tired at all, take that little rest, because the next part's a little bit treacherous. So.
All right, so coming off the put-in from our campsite, it's quite rocky, so I'm going to try to not have to walk it, but we'll see. The fastest moving water is here on the left, and this whole area here you can walk it. So ooh. That didn't work. So here's the portage here into Ramona. Been here before. Last time it was in the rain. I remember remarking that it was pretty much a steady downhill from Ramona into the Nipissing, but a nice walk. So I think we'll do fine footing wise, and it's fairly straight and level. With just a gradual incline all the way into Ramona. And this marks the end of the Nipissing for us this trip. So we're on the 1930 still, Nipissing into Ramona. My memory was perfect. It was a nice gradual downhill going the other way. This has been a lung burning, leg burning exercise, and we did see some people. First people we've seen on this trip since Tim Lake. Some park staff out here helping us out. Made sure to thank them for their hard work, and then they thanked us for using the trail. So Rich is struggling a little bit today. I know he's tired. His ankle's been bugging him. He's behind us somewhere. I'm sure he'll make it. Approaching the end. That was probably the hardest portage so far on the trip. Probably in the whole trip. We're on day 4, so food weight is still decent. But this is the first real lake we've seen since Tim Lake. I'm not really counting Grass Lake because it's basically a swamp. It'll be nice to get the sun, get some breeze, and drink some water that isn't the color of English breakfast tea. And it's gonna actually be really nice because I believe these are headwater lakes. They're all probably very clear. There's the boat from the crew. Good job, right guy. We have now left the Nipissing watershed. We are now into the Petawawa watershed. Should be downhill from here. All right, so this is big, beautiful, not so big Ramona. And we are going straight across there to our next portage, 435, into Whiskey Jack, a lake I really like. So this lake, it's one of my favorite fictional book characters from Malazan, my favorite bird, and my favorite lake, Whiskey Jack. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the water is crystal clear. It's gorgeous. How was that, Richie Poo?
Not better than the last one.
No puking?
No puking this time.
Ryan?
No pukes.
Just enough hills to get the blood going. Just short enough that you're sad to see it go.
Nope, not sad at all.
Rich is getting some shots of some nice ducks. Wonder with the high water we could probably just skip it. Yeah, it looks like there's a bunch of logs and stuff in the way. Probably not worth trying. You can't avoid the portage because this goes right over top of where you need to go. Which is too bad because here's Robinson right here. And Robinson Lake. It's crazy to me that like we still haven't seen anyone.
This is good. It's a full layback. A little bit of sun, not too hot, some wind, cool water.
Still moving it. Okay.
Moving pretty good. The rods are singing.
I'll just go where you guys are. We're on the last portage of the day, 1285, climbing our way out of the Nipissing watershed. We're an hour and a half from the campsite that we are hoping for. So depending on how long it takes to check out all the sites we want to see, we can determine what time we get into camp. Burnt Root Lake. It's getting pretty wavy on Burnt Root. We're headed down. That's the last campsite, and here is the Portal Rapids. And on that portage, there's an old root cellar. I've been there a couple times now. Hopefully it's still in good shape. Ryan's been there as well, so really we're just going down to show Rich. And that campsite there has a really nice beach, in case you're interested. I believe there's a campsite right on the portage, and it's not as nice, so you're better off to hang the corner and try out the other site. So this is the portage trail from Burnt Root. This is the little trail here that takes you to the campsite. It's not an awful campsite. I've had a couple naps here over the years. Nice big fire pit. You do get a nice breeze off the lake, constant. And then I believe it's up here. Take this little trail right beside the stump, and it's really close to your campsite. And she's got a little bit more of a lean, maybe, than the last time I was here. Step on in, Rich. Feel how nice and cool it is.
It's awful dark.
Yep.
Wouldn't be bad for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, I don't know how much video I'm gonna get between here and where we're going, but we're gonna be heading down the east shore of Burnt Root, making our way kind of the lee of the big island in the middle, and then we'll just see what the waves are doing on the opposite side. And we'll either make a beeline to our campsite on Red Pine Bay, or try and hit Anchor Island and maybe the Alligator on the south end of Burnt Root. But once we get out of this bay, we're going to be straight into the waves, so I'll see you whenever we get to a lee and we can take a break. We're in one of the southern bays on Burnt Root. We're looking for the alligator remnants and something marked as Politician's Cabin. Originally we thought something would be there because it's a unnatural clearing, but then we spotted something dark brown in the trees here, so we're headed over. This size of the wig, oh, the wheels, it's massive. I'll take you down in here. You can see right into the boiler.
I honestly had no idea what we were gonna see.
Steam
No idea.
powered, like.
I can't even in my mind, like, it looks like a paddle wheel boat,
Yes.
but I can't picture.
Like a square building on a paddle wheel boat, and it has big pulleys, and they were pulling log booms.
Yeah, I can't picture how it would work. That's all.
Would be the pulley system for the rudders. I'm assuming that's a rudder. This is what Greg stepped on.
A bolt, not even the
Metal plates with screws. So there's the big pulleys for dealing with the log booms. crazy how all the gears are still there. So cool.
We're at the, can't remember if it's a prime minister's cabin or a politician's cabin. It's mostly just field. Evan believes he found part of maybe a foundation somewhere, so we're headed back to take a look at that.
If this is it, it's really old. Because there's a massive yellow birch growing out of it. Alright, so we're just approaching we're in the narrows between Burnt Root and Red Pine Bay. We're just passing 3 campsites. We're hanging a right here, and then an eventual left, and we're into Red Pine Bay. And I don't see any people on the rock, which is where I would be with the sun going down. But this island right in front of us, that is hopefully home for the night. It's one of the nicest campsites I've been on. Big, beautiful rock on the north side. Perfect trees for hammocks throughout the site. And one of the coolest, if not the coolest, fire pits of all of Algonquin.
Now, if you watch the channel at all, you'll know that we always take hammocks with us as our sleep system. You can see here's a good way to sort of see. We've got 3 hammocks set up. This site's actually really good for hammocks. Lots of trees, lots of room. Now, Evan's here. He's got the hex fly. But what I wanted to show you in this video is that normally when we go on these trips, we'll bring a sleeping pad, put it inside the hammock, and use that as our insulation from the bottom. If you haven't slept in a hammock before, one thing that you need to be aware of is that it doesn't really matter how warm it is outside. When some wind comes through, the underside of you will get pretty cold from that wind. I think there's a term that they use for it, but all I know is it's freezing on the underside of you when you're in a hammock, and the colder the weather is, the worse that gets. So this trip, we've used something different. We use what's called an underquilt. So it's a little bit like a sleeping bag that attaches to your ridge line and hangs underneath you. And you should be able to see there that it's kind of right above the hammock, and it looks a little bit foolish when there's nobody in it. But as soon as you get in there and put weight, you'll sink right down into that underquilt, and it works just like having a blanket underneath you. So it's, to me, it's been more comfortable. I've enjoyed it more than the sleeping pad because it doesn't slip around as much. It takes a little bit getting used to as far as getting it hung properly so that you're actually falling into it when you get in the hammock. But other than that, it packs down, smaller than a sleeping pad. It's lighter to me than a sleeping pad. You don't have to blow it up or, you know, get the air out of it to roll it up in the morning. Stuff in the stuff sack just like you would your sleeping bag. So we can ask Evan what his opinion on his has been, but for me, I've enjoyed it a lot more, and I'll probably continue to use it on future trips. What are your thoughts on the experience with the underquilt as a comparison to the sleeping pad that you normally use.
Yeah, so yeah, normally I bring like a almost fall winter rated sleeping bag. It's very bulky, and a sleeping pad, which is light. It's great. It packs up great. It's the most annoying thing in the morning to fold back up perfectly and fit in the bag. So with the underquilt, basically I just use it in place of a sleeping pad. I'm just as comfortable, and it's just as warm and easier to pack up. So underquilts are good.
Hold on, maybe I'll get my head in here with the fire. Oh my god, it's so hot right here. It's like melting inside of my face. We got so much tunes going on tonight, and it's usually I'm like hitting concerts all the time. The guys are making fun of me for missing things for concerts, and all these songs we've got playing reminded me of concerts and how much I missed them since COVID stopped anything basically. But not missing campfires. In fact, I'm melting right now. There you are.
If not the coolest fire pit in all of, it's in the top 5 fire pits of all of Algonquin.
After all the education I had, didn't think this is what an alligator would look like. Thought they were like green, tail, teeth. Well, turns out I was wrong. Boy, politician's cabin. Puking several times.
Richie Poo, as soon as he got here, went straight in the lake. Left the Nipissing watershed in the Petawawa watershed. Out of the Nipissing watershed, Petawawa watershed should be. One sit Thunderbox review for the second campsite on the 1300 at High Falls. Brand new build. Seating is perfect. The view, not so much. So I'm going to give it a 6.5. 6.5 out of 10. You won't be disappointed. And just the brand new build is what does it for me. Immaculate.